Coach, lots of people have theories on what wins in March, and guard play wins in March, or seniors get you to win in March. What is it for your team? What is your secret formula, or not so secret?
Well, it couldn't be secret. We couldn't have that conversation, I guess. I think for us, and I think for most teams, you really just have to make shots. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You can have post players make shots, you can have guards make shots, and whoever makes more is going to win, and that's no secret to anybody. I think for our team to be successful, we've got to be good defensively, and the ladies discussed that a little bit. We played our best basketball this year, and in the past, we've been very good defensively. Against Oklahoma, that means for us, we're really going to have to try and keep the ball away from the middle, either in the post, or on penetration, or in transition. So those are areas we're going to focus on the defensive side of it. Then we do have to find ways to score. We've been pretty balanced. I know we're top, I think, 10 in the nation somewhere in field goal percentage. So we've been able to find ways to score this year in a lot of different ways. And those will be the things that we've talked about to get us here, and the things we'll talk about in the next couple of days.
The fact that you got here last year, you won a game, you almost won a second game against a Big 12 team, I would think that's got to be encouraging for your players thinking, hey, we can do this.
Would have been more encouraging had we beaten Baylor, but we didn't, and so we know what it's like to come up a little bit short in this event. It's not just last year. I think to have the kind of confidence it takes to do well in this tournament or win games, you've got to have more of a mentality over a long period of time. And the seniors you talked to, Ketty and Maria, have played in 3 postseason events. 2 of them were WNIT, and that's not the same as the NCAA, but that's still postseason environment. If we have success in this tournament, it'll be because of what they've done over the course of their careers, not just over the course of 1 game or 2 games. And I think they're poised to have a good game.
We'll talk a little bit about where this program came from, where it is now.
Well, for us, and I think I understand your perspective and the question, we don't feel like we all of a sudden have done something just remarkable. When you say where it came from, I think an outside person might hear that and say we came from nothing to where we are, and that's remarkable. I know you don't mean that, but my point with that is we've always had a lot of success. In Division II, we won a national championship, went to a couple of Elite Eights, and we really came into Division I with probably one of the better teams we'd ever had. And they knew how to win and knew what it was all about. And in that first year, I think 3 or 4 games into the season, we had a win against Kentucky down in the Virgin Islands. And it just seemed like everything went the right direction from there. So, yes, certainly new to Division I with no Division I history, but there's a real good tradition of women's basketball for a lot of years at South Dakota State. And when you don't have to teach a program how to win, that goes a long way. We already knew how to do that. We just need to learn how to do it at this level, I think.
AJ, is there anything that worries you a little bit at the game tomorrow that Oklahoma has, maybe a size advantage, anything that you're overly concerned about?
I have no worries whatsoever. They're exceptionally good in a lot of areas. Yeah, inside they've got a lot of size and strength and athleticism still in size. On the perimeter they bring a lot of quickness. The point guard certainly probably one of the best point guards we played against. We played against some really good ones, without a doubt. But she just seems to control the flow and tempo of the game, both on offensive end and defensive end. I think she's going to be a big part of how this game plays out. And then they're just playing at home. They've got such a strong tradition of women's basketball here. They obviously know how to win too. And this crowd knows what it's like to win and move on. So there's some obstacles in front of us.
What do you think about campus sites for the first 2 rounds? Because it's gone back and forth in this tournament, and is it a balancing act between what draws, and what's the fairest, and how do you feel about the decisions the NCAA's made?
Well, I think everyone's going to have their own perspective, but I think we all have to try and look at it for what's going to be best for the women's national tournament. And right now it seems like that formula of playing in host sites is probably what's best for the tournament in terms of fan exposure, in terms of media, in terms of a lot of things that we need to continue to make it a better event. I think neutral sites have been tried, and some have worked and some haven't worked as well. Obviously the downside of home sites is it's a home court for somebody, and that puts a lot of pressure on visiting teams. And that works both ways too. There have been some lower seeds that have played at home and upset some higher seeds, so it works both sides of that. But I think if we look at it in terms of what we need to probably do as women's basketball teams for the NCAA event, this is going to be the best model for the next period of time. Ideally, it'd be nice if there was a little bit more of a neutral site, maybe still have host schools that have to host it off campus somewhere in a close facility, but probably just not quite at that point where that model's been proven to be successful yet. So you know, we're fine with it. Last year we were fortunate enough to play at a neutral site down at Texas Tech. We had 3 Texas schools there, but Texas Tech obviously wasn't playing. You know, it probably goes in circles. We had the benefit of playing at home basically for our conference tournament, and now it's probably our turn to be on the road.
Coach, the president is not a believer that you're going to win tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that and proving the most powerful man in the world wrong?
Well, the president I'm most concerned about is President Sheikman. He's our president at South Dakota State, and I believe he probably has a better opinion of what's going to happen in the game tomorrow. And I think I'm going to go with his thoughts.
Aaron, I asked Kenny just how important this practice was. I mean, from a coaching perspective, how valuable can this 1 hour be?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important. I do think in all of the days leading up to this event, there's just a lot of nerves. And it's not for us. I think every team, if any player tried to tell you that it doesn't happen, I think they'd be a little bit lying. For us, I think it's going to be good to go out there and just work some energy off. Play in the facility and have some people there watching. It's not a closed practice, which is a good thing too, because I think it puts the players in a situation where they've got to probably do well in an uncomfortable environment. So it's just a good way to step your big toe into the water before the game tomorrow. Yes.
What are some things that can you work on anything in particular in that short of amount of time, or is
Yeah.
it just really kind of really basic?
Yeah, we will. We will. As coaches, we can find something to work on in 5 minutes, let alone 60 minutes. For the players, that's probably just the amount of time they'd want to be with me in practice, I'm assuming, at this point in the year. Yeah, we will actually treat it like normal practice. We don't just go out there and shoot and do it for the crowd. We'll work on some things we want to do on offense and defense going into the game. We're going to treat it just like we would what we were doing on Wednesday and Thursday coming down here.
Coach, and reading a lot of the other media stuff this week, Oklahoma seems pretty happy about their bracket and they're playing at home and their kids look very loose and confident today. What are your thoughts on being sort of an underdog? You played that role in the past, and yet in some regards you don't have that many situations anymore, even what you've done the past 4 years.
No, we don't. But in this event, we probably will still be an underdog for years until we prove that we can go further than just the first or second rounds. So I think that's to be expected. As far as Oklahoma's reactions to where they're at and who they're playing and their path, I think they've earned every right to be as excited as they want to be. They've been to Final Fours before, and they've got a lot of good players on this team, and you know, if they're excited about their draw and their path, then they've earned the right to do that. Regardless of what we've all felt going into this game and what we think may happen after this, tomorrow night at game time, that's really going to be what determines who keeps playing.
Got time for one more question, Coach Johnston.
A lot of pressure on you. This has got to be a good one.
Coach, you guys don't have a Roethlisberger or Olajuwon, but certainly even somebody like Ketty, who comes from a very athletic family that's had success. In your experience, that kind of kid, do they bring some maybe different things to the table, just coming from that sort of competitive environment?
You're talking about Olajuwon and Roethlisberger. They do, or are you talking about Ketty does?
Well, I'm talking in your experience with somebody like Ketty, comparing Ketty maybe to them, in that they're from athletic families.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think as far as the name value goes, it's all a matter of perspective. We maybe don't have some of the national name recognition, but if you asked a lot of the people in South Dakota if they are more familiar with our players or their players, I think you're going to find they're more familiar with the Jackrabbits, and that's what we're trying to play for, and that's our biggest concern. You know, the other part makes for some good side stories, without a doubt, but it really doesn't have an impact on what we're trying to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks.